Hi guys, good morning. Just to kind of follow on from my last video, I suppose, in a way. When I talk about acceptance, I think what I mean is surrender, in the sense that it's the acknowledgement of the fact that we don't know much. We know some things, yes we do. We know this is all wrong. We know that we are more than this because we have that, we just know it. But why we're here and what this is, as yet most of us don't know. If any of you do, please let me know, it'd be great to hear. I come across information all the time that confirms to me that reality is a giant lie. It just is. For example, there was a guy on YouTube and he was talking about the internet and all the lines that they supposedly lay across the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. All these lines, all these, and they're just there, which to connect all the internets, etc., which is bullshit. There is no such thing. That just is a lie. Or fuel, the stuff that we put in our cars. It smells chemical, and they have this whole narrative going of Saudi Arabia and the oil crisis and the this and the that, when I just have a feeling that there just is no such thing. It's not real. That whatever it is we put in our cars does not come from the soil, does not come from down there at all. It's something manufactured somewhere, but it isn't what they say it is. They would have us believe that this black goo, there it is again, the oil, is is created over many millions of years because of the bones or the bodies of plants and dinosaurs and whatnot. So presumably we have all these thousands upon thousands or millions of dinosaur bodies just rotting away and turning into oil, which we then put in our cars. This doesn't even make any sense. It's ludicrous. Yet people believe that. We are told stuff all the time that is just ludicrous. To me, the earth being round is ludicrous. That doesn't even make any sense. It just really, really doesn't, because everybody in Australia would be walking upside down, okay? Maybe I'm childish and ignorant, and yeah, I readily admit that, but I am ignorant. I know it. That is something I do know. But it just doesn't make any sense. You get planes that's simply stationary in the sky. They're just there and they don't move. That doesn't make any sense. You have these, what some people call fast walkers. These do you remember the Delta flyer from Star Trek Voyager? Well, they look a bit like that. And they move incredibly quickly, so you don't see them. But every now and then, somebody takes a picture, like this guy sitting in the Grand Canyon with his wife having a picnic, and he just took a photo of the vista, which was very beautiful, and they called one of those flying machines. So it seems to me that there is a civilization living amongst us, or in subterranean areas, a bit like Planet of the Apes with good old Charlton Heston in, and he comes across those people, a bit like that. There are the people, the skulls rather, with the massive, long heads, skulls, massive skull capacity. This didn't happen through binding, because there is just, the skulls are just far, far bigger, and you can bind a skull and give it a different shape, but you cannot actually make it bigger. Those people have seemingly disappeared. You have giants. They have seemingly disappeared. We live under a kind of scientific dictatorship where all this type of information is either just made to disappear or denied. There is a guy called Michael Cremo, does a lot of really great work on human antiquity, extreme human antiquity, which I've been following for years. And it basically seems to suggest that humans are very, very old and we've been around for a very long time. But in that particular narrative, there are areas that don't connect, and you think to yourself, well, hold on a minute, why is it that human bones are found in a level of strata where they would have been buried maybe 6 million years ago, yet, you know, the Earth supposedly is always in flux. Human bones are very porous and easily pulverized. How come they're even there in the first place? When the environment around them, the soil, must have been in flux continuously, you know, a layer of limestone formed above them, and this must have happened and that must have happened, and yet that human skull was there. They tell us, it is Plato's cave, they tell us these things. They say, oh, this is reality and this is how it works, and we have all these cables that we've laid across the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, which is incredibly deep. I think it's the deepest ocean, so that you can have your internet. It's complete bullshit, people. We all know that it's a lie, it's bullshit. You know, I cannot prove that, for example, the Earth is round or flat, but I genuinely go with it being flat, because that makes a hell of a lot more sense than it being round. The only way you'd know is to get in a rocket, go up there and look down and see it for yourself. But you know, it's the moon landings, my god, what a load of bullshit. Right? We're just living in a world that isn't real, that just isn't. And who is behind that? Who is telling us all these ridiculous things that, quite frankly, when you pick it apart, you realise, look, this is bullshit. You know, you just utter nonsense. And so we have to keep digging. I think it's important, because somehow it connects to who and what we are, to what is really going on here and why. The who, when, why, where, what. You could say, as some people do, that, oh, I'm done with all that, because I just never seem to get any answers and I never seem to go anywhere, and it's just going around in circles and it's very frustrating, and now I've just let go of it all and I'm just going within myself and I'm just, you know, just doing my inner work and leave everything. So some people think that way. Now, I think inner work is very important, absolutely, because ultimately everything comes back to consciousness. And consciousness is a magical faculty. And so I believe ultimately consciousness and the healing of our consciousness is the ultimate key to it all. I do believe that. And I do believe in surrender at those points where you realize that this is happening and there is not a damn thing I can do. So I'm letting it go. I'm surrendering it. And I'm tuning into my intuition. And I'm asking my intuition, what is this about? What is happening here? And why is this happening? And if it tells you this is happening to teach you something important, or this is happening because that part of your life is finished and done with, and you're ready for a new road. These things are very important as well. Very important, I agree. But I will not give up digging and questing and searching and discovering. I remember many years ago when I moved to this place from London, Plymouth, where I live now, when I entered Plymouth in a car, there was a big metal board and it says City of Discovery or Journey of Discovery, and it really hit me between the eyes, because I was beginning to awaken at that time, you know, due to having had some really seriously weird experiences in London, where I was asleep at night and I woke up to see two very strange beings sitting in a chair at the foot of my bed. They had pyramid-shaped heads and glowy red eyes. And one of them was sitting in a chair like this, and the other one was straddling. And they were face to face, but both faces were turned toward me, just staring at me. I mean, it scared the shit out of me. I turned the light on and they were gone. But guess what? I went over to the chair, which was leather felted, and it was warm like somebody had been sitting there. And this was in the middle of the winter. It was cold in there. It was a squat. Anyway, I've had my fair share of weird experiences and memories and visions and dreams and God knows. And part of me, I'm just very interested in what this is. One way you can always tell an NPC is their complete and utter lack of imagination and curiosity. They don't have that, you see, because they just treadmill beings. That is what they do. They are there to keep the status quo and to the status quo and to keep their nose to the grindstone and do as they're told and obey the law and blah blah blah. But souled people have a deep thirst for discovery, for knowledge, for gnosis, for understanding who and what we are, why we are here. And so everything that happens or doesn't happen, and we're told happens in this realm, has a bearing on us, on our consciousness, because we've been had, we've been had and lied to, we've been manipulated, psychological warfare has been waged against us. And it seems to me that especially since late Edwardian times, science has really changed. It has become very orthodox and it's become very dark, because now science operates from the mindset of, okay, we know everything is known, and so this doesn't fit, that doesn't fit, so we just get rid of it and make it disappear, and anybody speaks out, we just disappear them as well. So that is a scientific dictatorship, and its main purpose, to me anyway, seems to deceive us in every possible way. So you had Darwin, which of course was before Edwardian times, but the whole survival of the fittest thing, which in a psychopathic society, survival of the fittest, of course, that's wonderful, but that's actually not how things work. It's not meant to be about survival at all costs, it's meant to be about creative, existing, miraculous, magical, creative flow, love, communion, a sense of belonging in the all that is, and a sense of going forth to discover what the all that is entails. But we are stopped at every angle from doing that, because they want to keep us like that, because our consciousness is a creating faculty. And I said it before and I'll say it again, we create their desired reality because they have captured our consciousness. It's as simple as that. They use our consciousness to achieve the results they want for themselves. That keeps them in power. Minions and minions that serve the system, unquestioningly. Obviously NPCs, but it's incredible. It's utterly incredible, and it is dumbfounding that we live in a world where everybody around us buys that story. This is reality, and it's not. There's no need for it to be this way, people. For people to die of cancer. A friend of mine, her cousin was 34 and she died of cancer, and it was slow. And it was horrendously painful and it was agony. There's no need for that because they have a cure for cancer. They've had it for many years. But they're withholding that. The constant war. There's no need for any of that. Borders, passports, no need for any of that. Politicians, no need. Royals, no need. Food that isn't food and we shouldn't touch it with a barge pole. No need for that. Money, having to work all hours God sent just to keep your head above water, pay your bills, buy some food, pay your rent, I've nothing left. There's no need for any of that. But you see, what does that sort of thing do? Oh yeah, poverty, ignorance, You go to India and the child brides and the horrific abuse of women and the acid attacks and the fucking, it's appalling. You go to China and look what's happening in China, people. Terribly fucking scary. And that's a blueprint, because make no mistake that there are no countries, not when you're one of them. They own all of it. To us, it's like the world is that way. Oh, we have countries, and if we want to go to there or there, we need a passport and we need to have our fingerprints taken and our eyes scanned, They probably go anywhere because they've created countries and borders. Because what is a country but a prison? You can leave that prison, but you have to show your passport so that they know you've left that prison, you've gone to another prison. It's bullshit, and it's all false. It's fake. It's not real. Well, it's real, but it's not real because there's no need for it to be that way at all. Terribly short lifespans as well. I had a look around the graveyard quite some time back, and 74 is about the oldest that people live to, and most people don't even live to that, and some people live beyond that, but it's not in a good state of health for the most part. We're all sick, we're all riddled with pathogens and whatnot. Vaccinations, oh boy. And drinking water and what's in that, I don't touch it myself. So because I had a conversation with a friend and she has a lot of wisdom and I really appreciate being in touch with her, and it's great, but she talks about acceptance. I call it surrender rather, and I think it is important that we cultivate peace within ourselves to stop us from going completely mad and to be in a state of constant resistance and pushing back, and to allow fear and rage and despair to take over. That is not a good state to be in. That will not win the war at all. It won't. It is very important that we learn to cultivate self-acceptance and self-love, to heal our shadow and reintegrate that so that we may become whole, because we are warriors of the light. The bulk of the work lies within us, with our consciousness. Truly, it does. But a very important part of the work is to look with open eyes and open heart and to question absolutely everything at all times, and to have discernment and to use your mind, because so much of what we're told is real is just not real. It's orchestrated, it's manipulated, and it's gaslighting people, and it's making a mockery of us all. It really is, and it fucking fucks me off to a massive degree, and I'm sick to death of it. I really am. Today is one of those days where I just feel like fuck, because it's like, man. And it is frustrating because, no, you're right, there's not a great deal that we can do about it, and I no longer go out there to try and wake people up, because that doesn't work. It really doesn't. So I leave people to it, and I accept the lessons that life gives me, and I surrender as much as I can, which in and of itself, believe me, is a very hard thing to do. But we should never be passive worms. We are here to learn, we are here to heal our consciousness, and we are here to do something of that. I am convinced. It's not a case of we come here, we get to suffer and struggle and go through all kinds of nefarious bloody shit because something dark will have it so, and then we die, and then we go to the NDE place where we're given a live review and where we're told that, oh, you didn't get that right, you didn't get that right, so now you're going to have to go back ad nauseum. Because I am not happy about that. I will not do that, because that is always about some external power, again, not allowing us our autonomy, our sovereignty. And these again are words of the system. I want my personal power. I want to know what I can do, what I'm truly capable of, who and what I am truly. Because this small creature living in this wall, in this hall of mirrors, that is not who I am, and that is not who we are. It isn't. You know. I have learned a lot through challenges in life, you know, definitely a great deal. And I have gratitude for that and appreciation. But the danger is that we slip into this mindset where we accept suffering as a necessity, where we accept that notion that, well, you're powerless and you're small and, you know, you're here to suffer. And that's religious indoctrination. Suffering serves a purpose, but then there comes a point where perhaps it doesn't, and it just becomes meaningless hardship and suffering and misery, and that destroys people. It does. And it's knowing the difference. It's knowing the difference. Is what do we do with it? What do we do with it, you know? I mean, we truly are on the battlefield every fucking day of our lives. And it is very confusing, and it's so hard going, and we are taken to the very edge of ourselves and then some. I mean, it's like that saying, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And to that I always have to say, yes, makes you stronger for what? So that you can take another punch, which makes you a little bit stronger, so that you can take another punch, which will make you a bit stronger, and will take another punch. It just goes on and on and on. Why do we suffer in this realm? Well, we suffer because something evil has infiltrated reality. It has hijacked our consciousness. And for it to live, we have to be where we are. We have to be limited and victimized and abused and lied to, because it feeds off that. That's how it stays alive. It lives within us and it lives all around us. That is what is happening. But within that scenario, we can wake up and we can learn many things. And we can learn about compassion and love. We can learn about creativity and beauty. We can learn and see and experience that there is a kind of field of magic, of love, that is here too. It is here too. We find this often peripherally. We find the magic in the most unlikely places. There is peace. There is surrender, yes, but there is also discernment and using the gifts of your mind, of your intuition, of your eyes and your mouth and your voice. All that needs to be employed on this quest. It is necessary and a must. And for anybody who is on this awakening journey, we have to accept the entirety of this experience. We cannot just say, well, I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to focus on this tiny little narrow bandwidth of experience, and I'm just not going to look at that. Because that will never work. You cannot solve a puzzle if you do not have all the pieces. And this is, without a doubt to me anyway, a puzzle. It is a puzzle. The pieces are strewn across our consciousness within us, and we see them on the outside blinking back at us all the time. Those pearls, you see. the keys. Yeah. Maybe it is a type of school, but at some point we're going to graduate people, you know. And you sit an exam at the end of graduation, don't you? And for us the exam would be to do something here. It's not a case of, oh, we're just here and we suffer and we learn from that suffering and then we die and then we go somewhere else and then we'll have to come back again or maybe go somewhere else. No. I think the crowning glory of this experience here, this quest, is that we do something here. I tend to call it reset, but I'm not sure if that's the right word. Something is happening here. It's definitely different, and people are waking up. Salt people are waking up and are noticing things. Now when you're in a car and you're driving up the road and there's a jogger coming along and you see the woman, and then you drive on a further 2 minutes and the same woman comes jogging by again, you realise that something strange is going on, right? Reality is not what we think it is at all. I mean, so many weird things have happened to me and to friends of mine that you begin to realise, whoa, that is very interesting. It's all part of the story, it's all part of the narrative, it's all part of the experience, and I believe that we need to accept it in its entirety. We have to, yes, pay attention to it all. The inner and the outer, they are connected, yes. And I think that's important. I always wonder why it is that some people choose to just blindside. Don't get that. Anyway, I think that's probably it for today. Just a little one, a quick one. Because I felt like getting that stuff on my chest, you know. Oh.